Bonus stage.
Hello NetRealm, I'm RedParagonG, and welcome to a bonus episode of Project 3 Erolenis, the series where I remake my Germanic/Nordic region, Erblin. Before we continue, I'd like to apologize for such a long wait. I have a whole update video explaining what the heck happened, but to keep it short, I wanted to remake my brain. I'm genuinely proud of how far I've come though. My art skills have grown tremendously since this project began, but I just wish everything in Erblin reflected that. Before the reboot, my Fakemon were drawn differently than the ones I make now. My video editing skills weren't too great either, with each episode having different ups and downs. While this inconsistency is a testament to my growth, it makes it hard for people to take me seriously, especially since you could barely hear me in some episodes.
It's a simple change, but it's pretty effective. Dare I say, super effective.
Hey, can you turn your music down, please? Because I'm having a really hard time.
Whatever. Sure, man. I'll just turn right down.
Thank you.
My Mutant Menagerie and Multiversal Drift entries are my best feet forward when it comes to Fakemon videos, and I want my main Fakemon series to have that same level of quality. So, I think it's time for a change. I've been working on new assets for Erolenis, some of which made it into episode 10, but I'm also going to pull subjectively and give the entire dex a style update. As of this episode, I'll be using Sketchbook Pro as the main art program for Erblin, and all of the redesigns today will showcase this change. Alright, let's not beat around the brush any longer and get to work. The first Fakemon line I'll cover is one that I actually forgot about, at least in the main series. This is disappointing since it's one of my oldest lines in the project, so I want to take the time to introduce them properly. Meet Snoffin, Serazer, and Sogravore, a water-type line based on saw sharks. These fishy fellows were created in 2013 on an old Roblox account. Yeah, putting the potato quality aside, these were originally starters for a region called Hellvale, and they were conveniently created before Greninja was a thing. Honestly, I will gladly take Greninja over Sharkaradon. Like, seriously, what in Cyrus' name is this edgy son of a fish? Anyway, I redesigned these lads 5 years later and included them into Erolenis. This version would be the most consistent throughout Erblin's run up until the first episode in the series. However, I failed to explain the reasoning behind their changes. Since then, they kinda sat in the back while others got more solid updates. In fact, one critique I had for Abyssrum applied to Sogravore as well, but I never covered it. For a line that changed several times over the course of the series, they weren't really outstanding. They were just there, and I don't like that. I want these three to feel purposeful in Erblin, and I think I know how to do that. Some of the best evolutionary lines tell a story through each stage, and since it shows up early, I want this line to do the same. The type of Water Dark sent me down a pretty obvious direction. Pirates! The new motif will be that of a pirate's crew, with the first stage being the lowest in the rank. It's gone back to a more reptilian look like in 2018. No one reptile in particular, but I knew it shouldn't be one that could swim. I wanted it to earn its sea legs as it evolved, so I'll save the aquatic elements for later. I gave it stripes and spikes on its head so that it looks like it's wearing a shirt and bandana. As for colors, I settled on a palette of gray, brown, and orange. These are colors commonly seen on most lizards, but will change over the course of its evolution. Lobloot, the landlubber Pokemon, a pure dark type. This Pokemon is constantly looking for items it finds valuable, often not caring about their original owners. It stares longingly at the ocean, hoping to one day be able to cross it. To go with the whole earn your sea legs idea, I dropped the water type in the first stage. Its name is a combo of loot and landlubber, which is its classification. It is a sneaky Pokemon, looking for food and other trinkets to collect, like the dex says. It can usually be found near bodies of water, despite the fact it can't swim. But it does wish to do so and learns by watching its evolved forms. Lobloot only has one ability this time around, being Pickpocket, with Hustle as its hidden ability. Its shiny is blue as a nod to its older counterpart. A quick fact before moving on. Both of the lines I cover had their base and final forms completed before the middle ones. These were also drawn traditionally before being worked on in Sketchbook. That is your only hint as to who we'll cover next, but for now, let's evolve Loudloot. Continuing the theme of pirates, this stage will be middle of the road, going from a landlubber to a lower ranking seaman. It'll stay a lizard, but this time I have a clear choice of one. The sailfin lizard. These lizards are semi-aquatic, allowing it to transition into a more aquatic base. I took the name of the lizard quite literally and gave it fins that resemble pirate ship sails, and I made the front of its face pointed, much like the bow of a ship. Other than that, I just expanded upon its pirate clothes, namely giving it a jacket made of shed skin. This skin is bluer in tone compared to the rest of the body, which is still gray and orange. The orange does teeter towards red as a hint towards the final evolution. Corsail, the plundering Pokemon, a pure dark type. Though not a strong swimmer, Corsail is more confident to move across the water. Crews of Corsail eagerly follow their captain's example, plundering any bit of land in order to please them. Its name comes from Corsair, a word used to describe both a pirate and their ship, and sail, obviously. With its new aquatic features, it eagerly takes to the water. Unfortunately, it's not very good at it, but it's trying its best in the name of its captain. Same type and abilities, but it's stronger and taller. The shiny is also different, sporting a mix of burgundy and yellow. Loudloot evolves into Corsail at level 28, much like it did in 2018. But the requirements will change for the final evolution, which we'll look at next. Why don't I set the mood first? So, in our crew, we have landlubbers and run-of-the-mill pirates. But what's missing? Ah yes, there should be a captain in there somewhere. This one will also be more shark-like, tying it back to its original counterpart. I knew I wanted it to have a captain's outfit, but didn't know how to mesh it with the shark elements. I settled with giving it the flaps of a ray, which are in the same subclass as sharks. This allowed me to make the head look like a hat, and the fins look like pirate swords. To complete the look, I gave it scar markings to sell the fact that it's been through a lot. Colors are bluer in tone to reflect its new type, but I threw in some yellow for much needed contrast. Admiral, the captain Pokemon, a dark water type. It leads a crew of Loudloot and Corsail on epic voyages, leading them to treasures they normally can't reach. Admiral is ruthless and greedy, getting most of the fortune in a raid. Though if respect is given, it will share the spoils with its crew. I mean, just because it's greedy doesn't mean it's a bad guy, it just has a bad habit. Anyway, now that it's gotten its sea legs, it gains the water type as well as competent stats. Its ability also switches to sharpness, while hustle switches to rough skin. Wait, we're using sharpness now? Yes, we are. Another thing I'm changing is the inclusion of Gen 9 elements. I didn't use them initially because I wanted Erblin to fall in line with Gen 8 stuff. But with how long this project's been worked on and how close Gen 9 is to being done, I backpedaled on that. Simply put, everything in Erblin will be up to date with Pokemon right now, not just the style or design conventions. The new shiny is redder, mimicking a nice leather jacket, and its name comes from Admiral and Cruel. To get this mon, you have to level up Corsail in or around water. It's niche, but not too crazy like other location-based evolutions. This line isn't native to Erblin, but came over while finding treasure. I'm leaving their origins pretty vague, but know that it's a reference to its Hailvale counterpart. It's crazy that I took a line that old and modernized them in my current style. While they're not starters anymore, the Loudloot line progresses in a way that feels starter-like to me. And that's a pretty good achievement since starter Pokemon are hard to design. Starters are some of the most iconic Pokemon in any Pokédex. They introduce players to the region they're from and form powerful bonds throughout their journey. My starter trio isn't too bad, honestly. They have good motifs and concepts that any fan can vibe with. But I feel like there's one that needs the most improving. And despite me covering it twice, my eyes fall once again on my grass line. Yep, here we go again with these guys. Let me explain. I created this line around 2017, making it one of the first Fakemon lines for Erolenis. I wanted a unique starter, and I remember seeing an elf starter on DeviantArt and thought it was cool. These were the first takes on the line, but when the series began, 3 years later, I toned down the look and made their skin green. Something was off about them though. They look too complex in these takes. So in episode 6, I toned them down even more. While I'm happy with the way they are now, there was still something that bothered me, and I wasn't sure what that was. It wouldn't click for me until I turned Sentinelf into a buddy fight monster last year. I really liked this version of Sentinelf. He fit so well into the buddy fight mold. Perhaps a little too well. And that was ultimately the problem I had. This line's concept and execution didn't fit the starter mold, and the amount of gaslighting I did prevented me from seeing it sooner. Well, it's been 8 years now since that idea came up, and while I am happy they're more Pokemon-like, I want these mons to truly feel like starters. So I'm going to give them a much-deserved overhaul. I'm sorry, Okend, but I'm gonna have to let you go.
No, please!
The first thing I knew I had to change was the species. All starter Pokemon are some sort of animal. So instead of an elf man, I made this line into a goat. The line already had hooves for legs, so going all in on that was very appropriate. Goats are known for their amazing climbing skills, so I'll work that into the process of this family. But for the first stage, I'll keep it simple. It's just a little goat with some leaves on it. But it has horns that are in the shape of acorns, which was a suggestion a friend made. In fact, that friend helped me get ideas for the entire family last year. So if they're watching this, thank you, I appreciate it. Anyway, I kept the color scheme from Okend intact, but I changed them up a bit and added white for contrast. I also gave it the rectangular pupils that goats have. Kidok, the leaf goat Pokemon, a pure grass type. Kidok are incredibly curious, wandering into places that pique their interest. While clumsy, they love climbing on top of small objects and even their trainers. Its new name is a combo of Kid, which is a baby goat, and Oak, a kind of tree. It also incorporates the term Kiddo, which is just adorable. Like the Pokédex says, it enjoys climbing onto things. It's not the most skilled climber, but that will be expanded upon in its evolutions. Its ability is Overgrow like all grass starters, but the hidden ability is Coniferous, which gives it ice and hail immunity. I know oak trees aren't coniferous, shut up. This ability is normally associated with the Florestive line, but the idea I had for Kid Oak worked really well with that ability. Oh, and the shiny is an autumnal variant. Really like doing those kinds of shinies. This was the only Fakemon I had fully rendered before the episode's completion. This entire video was a year in the making, but I'm happy with how this little guy turned out. Now let's evolve him. A big problem with Okend's line is that they were all the same thing, just with more to it. While some Pokemon lines do this, I didn't want that for my new grass starters, so I made sure to give each member its own vibe. I turned the leaf color on Kidok into a nice leafy poncho. This way it can stay warm even in a colder environment. I also looked into fluffy goats for inspiration and made it look mischievous. It looks like it's laughing at your misery. The final touch was turning its horns into pine cones, which are found on coniferous trees. The colors are pretty straightforward for a grass starter, but the white bits are a hint towards the final stage. Faunifer, the leaf goat Pokemon, a pure grass type. Though this Pokemon aims to reach greater heights, it's rather mischievous and carefree. They've been known to kick branches and rocks around with no concern over potential harm. The name comes from Fawn, a goat-human hybrid, and Conifer. Coming up with a name for this one was the hardest part. I had to do some workshopping there. Anyway, this starter is now pure grass in the second stage. It seemed unfair to me that Okend got to be dual-typed earlier than the other starters, so I changed it to be more in line with them. Abilities are the same, but the shiny is way darker. Pine trees don't get autumn leaves, I know, but I wanted to keep the red consistent. You'll see why in a bit. Like I said earlier, I designed the mid-stages last, and I wound up nailing the base first try. Only shows that working backwards is sometimes the better approach. Alright, now that we're this far in, let's wrap things up with our final redesign. I brought up earlier that goats are known for climbing. Well, in order to meet starter standards, I leaned into a mountain climbing motif. Faunifer's poncho becomes more of a jacket, and it gets a bushy hump that resembles a backpack. The eyeliner becomes a mask that resembles snow goggles, and a face pattern that goats tend to have. But it's no ordinary goat anymore. It's an alpine ibex. These goats are found in the Alps, a huge mountain range in Europe. People climb these mountains as part of the sport, which ties back into the original inspiration. Its horns are now actual tree branches, though they're curved a bit. This is based on Chronicles, trees that are banned severely due to cold winds. The colors have also gotten colder, with the jacket simulating a pine tree with snow on it. I added orange to the palette for contrast and to reference straw made from dried pine needles. Ibex-Salt, the alpine Pokemon, a grass ice type. Ibex-Salt is incredibly nimble, moving across rough surfaces with little effort. It stores food and resources in the bush on its back, and it'll let smaller Pokemon rest inside, keeping them warm while in freezing temperatures. This guy's name comes from Ibex and Exalt, to raise oneself to a higher position. It also contains the word altitude, which is fitting for a mountain climber. Ibex-Salt have fully mastered their climbing skills. They love to explore, but they also look out for others and their safety. It is now part ice type instead of fighting. I'll admit that type choice is pretty self-indulgent. Back then, I was annoyed by how little fighting moves Chestnut learned, at least via level up. But now that Hisuian Decidueye is a thing, I can happily remove it. Main ability is the same, but since it's an ice type now, it doesn't need Coniferous, so I switched it to Fur Coat for some added defense. The shiny is based on the Gävle goat, a large straw goat built in Sweden. This goat is also subjected to arson, which comically fits its fire weakness. This line falls under the realm of furry bait, that's some starters too. But to be fair, they were literal humans when I first made them. The least I could do is give them fur and goat legs. I'm way happier with these three now that I've made these changes. They can finally stand toe-to-toe with the artist starters I made. Oh, I re-rendered them too. Since I wanted to update my style and knew I was redrawing starters, I may as well include them. Cobile, or Full Light now, got the most changes between the two, but they're way more solid compared to Oakind at the time, so they got less treatment. And just in case someone asks, yes, these three have a connecting theme, being mythological creatures. Equestrier is a unicorn, Abyssdrome is a sea dragon, and Ibex-Salt is a fawn, or a satyr. They also all follow the patterns fans have speculated starters to have, with Ibex-Salt now being based on the Pyrenean Ibex. I've also updated the renders for Lousnip, Flimfly, and the Stellar line. I'm gonna introduce more of these throughout the rest of the series. I've already tweaked and repositioned some entries in the Pokédex, and I made new layouts for DeviantArt and Instagram. I want to make sure that this project is as consistent as I can possibly make it, and I can't wait to continue and add new faces to the roster. But for now, we'll end things here. Let me know which of these lines you like the most. If you want to see more of Erblin and any other content, check out my socials. Links are in the description. And don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and ring the bell to be notified of future uploads. This has been RedParagonG, and remember folks, may the light of Sirens guide you on your quest through life. See you next time.